FX presents the Indu Podcast with your host, T. Sterling Watson.
Good morning, Indubians. I'm T. Sterling Watson.
And I'm Courtney.
This is the Indu Podcast. Thank you for stopping by and pressing play. This is episode number 73. This is part 2 of Infinity War. No, not Infinity War. Silly me. What is it? What were we talking about? I forgot the name of the show already. Oh, Fallouts and Fellowships. It's not often I say the title in the actual episode that we're recording. So, yeah, there we go. But you'll understand why we're calling this part the Fellowships part. Because basically we're just going to talk about our time in Baltimore. So, when was the last time you were in Baltimore?
This past week. That was the last time and the first time I was in Baltimore.
That's actually what I meant to ask. When was the first time you were in Baltimore? But you already answered that question. And me too.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time. And I'm actually counting this as my first time because I stopped, I explored. I have driven through Baltimore before, but never really stopped. So I don't count those.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So that was my first experience in the city. It was very interesting, but good overall. Really good. How was your experience?
My experience actually was pretty good too. Overall, looking back, which, we'll recap some of the adventures that we were on. And I mean real adventures, not the ones when we kind of got a little bit lost. Not lost, but just we misplaced ourselves. So, or I misplaced. I misplaced us since I had a rental car, which I drove to Baltimore. So we were able to get around places, which I'm so glad that we did, because there were some destinations we went to that it would took forever if we walked. And, or it was raining, things like that. Or it got really cold and chilly.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. The last day or so, it got unfortunately, the rain wasn't too bad, but it was like enough of a rain to be annoying and to bug you and to not want to be out in it. Because it wasn't quite a mist, but it wasn't a hard rain either, but it was enough to like not want to deal with it. So
right.
Yeah, it was nice to have some cover.
Truly. And we've talked about mists before, and this is definitely a sidetrack, but like it wasn't a mist, but I think I would have preferred a mist, like a mist. But yeah, it was actually rain. So anyway, we both arrived on Thursday. So we went to go see Infinity War at a fantastic movie theater, which we did talk about, and that will probably be on Patreon, our little review on that movie theater. And Friday, we did #Blurds Brunching, which I'm not sure if people have been using that hashtag, but we discussed it like on Twitter not weeks, but a week before we all arrived. But it was like 20 of us, all Twitter folk together at Miss Shirley's, just breaking bread and just being a family. And it was just so amazing. I loved it.
It was really good.
And they couldn't reserve a room for us. That was actually my mission. I was in charge of trying to reserve the room, but it was already booked. But we still managed to get 2 tables together, and we did it up. We had a good time, and like everybody was there. And I'm not gonna try to name names because I feel like I'm gonna miss somebody, and I really don't want to do that. So yeah.
But it was a lot of friends that that I already knew from Twitter. A lot of new friends that I met that day, and it was just really good. It really was good, and the food was good. It was just great. It was really good fellowship and a great way to really kick off the weekend as a whole,
Now, since we do tend to talk about food a lot, what did you get? What did you get at Miss Shirley's?
What did I get? It was I've slept since the last time I was there. I don't remember the name of it, but it was some type of grits and shrimp. So grits and shrimp and
some patty underneath
fried green. It's fried green tomatoes.
Oh, okay. I know
that was the patty. It was delicious. It was good. At first, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna fill me up, and it did. So, and I had a side order of pancakes, blueberry pancakes, I believe.
I believe you had waffles because I was waiting for you to eat them because I had waffles.
Was it waffles?
Yeah.
No, you had waffles. I had pancakes, I think, right?
I believe there were waffles.
I don't know.
We agreed. Well, I think we talked about if there were waffles available, we should get waffles versus pancakes. Because I don't think I saw anybody. Wait, no, somebody did have pancakes and they're pretty big. But the waffles we had, there were mini waffles. You had 2 and I had 4. And I asked you if you wanted one of mine, but you just gave me this really dirty look. So I'm like, oh, well, fine. Because I think it was like a cinnamon kind of waffle that I had. And you're like, I don't want any of that mess. I've got like blueberry waffles. I'm like, okay. That was through a look. I
don't know that I would ever turn down waffles though. I think somebody's remembering this way wrong.
I don't know. I will say this, and this will be a little bit of name dropping. Yes, there will actually be some name dropping in this episode. But Pedro and Tito were like, "Ooh, look at that! She shut you down or something." Because I was offering. It was the cinnamon, not cheesecake, cinnamon Danish waffles, and I'm like, "Oh!" And
that's what it was. It's Danish and gross.
It didn't taste like Danish. It didn't taste like Danish. It tastes like waffles and cinnamon. It had a nice crisp to it. It was airy. It was light. It was crispy and cinnamony, sweet. Didn't need a lot of like syrup on it. Oh, it was good. And it was filling too. Like after the 4 that I had, actually I ate them very slowly because by the 3rd one I was getting full. But I didn't want to waste anything. We all had, well, not all of us, but most of us had mimosas because that was the plan. It's like we're going to get mimosas. Brunch. It was brunch.
We were really fancy, like really fancy.
We were. Like all we needed then was just like those, like a monocle or something, top hat
or a beret. That's a bit dress. That's a bit fancy, but like a beret or that little scarf around your neck or something. That would work too.
Like a puffy one, like a feather kind of. No, it's a boa.
That's a boa. A boa, sure. If you want to do a boa, you could have done a boa. It would have been apropos. Okay.
I keep going, I guess, classy fancy, not just like brunch fancy. So now I get it. Beret, scarf. Yeah, definitely. After that, we wandered around Barnes and Noble for a little while, which was nice because just, looking at books and just, hanging out. Again, more mingling, more fellowship with our fellow blurdren, trying to make up a word. I'm not sure.
I like it.
Okay. Well, we'll go with it then. But that was good. I mean, it's probably one of the bigger, or I'm afraid to say biggest bookstore I've been in, but it's definitely up there because it's 4 levels. And I don't think we made it to all 4. Or were there 4 levels?
No, there's only 2.
Only 2? Oh.
Yeah, there's only 2 levels. But because the cafe part, the cafe part was on the 2nd floor. And then there's just a bunch of, obviously just books on the 1st floor. But the cafe, and then there were more books on the 2nd floor, but there's only 2 floors.
Oh, okay. I think it was the lighthouses inside that was throwing me off, maybe.
Yeah. Because there's 2 lighthouses on the inside that were very, very tall. And I don't think that we ever made it to the top of them, which may be throwing you off, but there's only 2 floors.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was bigger. Oh, well, but, still, it was nice.
It was quite big, though.
It was. A little dark when we first went in. I remember that because, this is not reading light, but, it had a coziness about it. It was nice.
It was very nice. And intimate, even though it was very spacious, if that makes any sense.
It does. And, yeah, just so many books. After that, we did wander around the city a bit more. We were all doing all this walking until we later went to a meetup at Banff Comics. I think Banff's Cafe. I'm sorry.
Cafe.
Yeah, and which was definitely a nerd central area because I kind of walked around. They had posters and just nerd geek culture stuff all over the place. And even their menu was nerd themed, which I don't know if you got to look at.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. That's cool.
They had special drinks that were all named after Infinity War characters.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And I missed it.
Yeah, I think I meant to come over to you to ask you if you wanted anything, but I kind of forgot, and I don't remember what I got. I know it was some kind of cinnamon latte thing, of course, with the cinnamon, but but it had to be.
Well, we got there kind of late. Because traffic was really bad, and then is that how we got lost? Yeah, and parking was really bad, and then like I think we were just kind of hanging out and resting and chilling, and then by the time we actually decided to do something and get up and go, it was really close to time, and so pushing it that late, and then dealing with traffic and parking, so we really were only there for about half an hour or so. But it was all good. I just kind of came in and started talking to folks. So I didn't really look around the cafe because I knew that we were like they were about to close.
Right.
And so I just kind of sat down and started talking to folks. And then, but it's cool because afterwards we just, they kicked us out, and then we kind of hung out on the outside and just continued it. So it worked out.
It did. And I felt like we made like more connections with people, which we ended up seeing later the next day, and that was cool. Right. It was just a really great, just chill, kind of hang out and mingle, and there's something I'm trying to think of, but I can't remember what it was. Because there were some people that still hadn't seen the movie, and we had seen it the night before, but I did get into a conversation with a group of people, and we all had to kind of keep winking at each other and saying things like, what really killed me was that scene with Peter Parker, and then we're just like really stressing things so they know that what we're talking about, and like, yeah, I know. And it was kind of fun talking in code, but also knowing that they are just as passionate as we are. So so it was
definitely
that was really fun. Then I think we just kind of went back and just chilled out because we were peopled out. So
totally.
That was.
We did a lot of peopling that day and a lot of walking and. What did we do? Watch. I was gonna say French. We didn't watch French. We watched Legion.
Yeah, both really great shows. But yes, Legion. I think we just started the Legion marathon then. Is that the time I don't think that we ordered. Yeah, I think we ordered that day from the restaurant in the hotel. Which if it was that day.
No, yeah, right. Because we needed something to eat, but we didn't want to go anywhere to get it.
Right.
Yeah, it was very lackluster. I feel like they're full. We had to order off of a
it really
not their full menu. It was but it was so terrible and it didn't make sense. The reason I'm still trying to figure out the reasoning that they gave you, which was very not a good reason. Because what did they say? Because there was one of the games was going on,
and they needed.
But that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't to me either, because they needed something that's quick for customers to come in and go and
Sure.
So yeah, you can still make that and make the other stuff that's on your menu,
like your regular menu. I don't understand, but whatever. But even the food that was on the shortened brief menu was very bad. It was because I had a quesadilla, but it was just not made with love. It was very much thrown together and overpriced. So I was not very impressed at all.
Yeah, I felt bad because I saw you and your disappointment, and then you just put it away, and then eventually it disappeared. I think the next day. So I'm like, well, you're a trooper. So I felt bad. I wish I could have got you something else. But
well, I mean, it wasn't your fault. They served really terrible. It just wasn't good food. But I did eat it afterward, the next day, like you said. So it got eaten, but only because there was nothing else to eat.
Right.
If I had other options, and because I had paid for it. If I had other options, yeah, I would have reversed that decision. For sure.
I guess that's just part of, experiencing and just, learning. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I won't get food here.
We're just not having any other options.
Right.
That's the big kicker.
No options that we were willing to take, such as leaving.
Yeah.
They did have delivery service, but I didn't take any of those menus. They weren't, I could have asked, but I didn't really want pizza because that's really all they were, I think. But hey, next time. Next time. So yeah, Legion happened. Then Saturday was the big day. Saturday we went to WICOMICON, and I'm really trying to remember to pronounce it correctly because it is WICOMICON, which is on Wicomico Street, I'm assuming, or
it is.
And now, what WICOMICON is, it was a pop-up con where Black Heroes Matter, Nerds of Color, The Blurred Girl, the NRW, and Carbon Fiber Media all got together days after FanCon imploded, basically, and was like, you know what? We have a space for these people that are still coming to Baltimore, all the vendors, all the artists. You can set up shop here. We're going to make this happen. And they got some local artists to come in. They have local performers come in. And they did a fantastic job for such short notice. So,
yes. And I feel like WICOMICON was what FanCon should have been. It should have been a very small version of what they were originally going for, because that was what was within their means, FanCon's means. And so, and there were issues with WICOMICON. It was not a perfect con, but the issues that they had are ones that I would have expected of a first-year con, to be quite honest. Simple things like the space was awesome, right?
Right.
But at the very beginning, signage or like where you're supposed to enter wasn't super apparent. But they fixed that because later on in the day, when we finally left the con location to go get food, I saw signs that were not there. We got there. We didn't get there right when they opened, but maybe half an hour or so afterwards, because we walked there, but we didn't leave the hotel, till about 10, which is when the con doors open, I believe.
Right.
So we got there after the con had opened. It wasn't a whole ton of people there. So even though the signage wasn't super apparent, there were people everywhere at every entrance point that I'm aware of. So they were able to direct us to where we needed to go. Then later on, I did see some more clear signage. Easy fix. Another flaw that I saw was for some of the panels, especially there's one, I forget what they called that room or that area. It was in a very open space. It was the largest area that they had for a panel, but there was not a way for them to like cut off the sound coming to and from that area. So it was very drowned out. Sometimes you couldn't hear whoever was on the mic. But again, that is how would they know that otherwise, other than going through a test run? But this is also something that they put together in a week. So I would, that's something I would expect. I talked to one of the volunteers, or one of the persons who were helping out, and she was mentioning a couple of things, and I was just like, okay, is that your biggest issue so far that you know of? That's not something that, because I think she was mentioning how the schedule had changed or something, and they were like still working on it. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I understand that you literally, this con wasn't supposed to happen a week ago. Like, right. I get it.
Right.
But despite the very minor issues that there were, it was a great turnout. The panels were good. From what I understand, the other, like the things that I didn't go to, like the cosplay contest and some of the musical talent and things like that, that turned out really well. The booths were awesome. The vendors were amazing. It was just a great con. I mean, and honestly, this full disclaimer, this is my first con, so I don't know, I don't really have much to go on in terms of a reference or a point of reference. But as a first-time con goer, I was very impressed. No, especially knowing the situation, I was very impressed. I was very excited to be there. I was very into it. I stayed the whole day, and I had a great time.
As did I. I mean, pretty much I agree with everything that you said, even down to like the forgivable flaws, especially with the short notice. And when they were like behind schedule, like they told us from the beginning, everything was going to be behind an hour, and everything was behind an hour. Like whatever was supposed to start at 12:40, it started at 1:40. No big deal. Everything was right on schedule, and it was great. And I know there were a lot of volunteers and a lot of people working behind the scenes helping out with that. one person who we watched work, and then we eventually got to just talk to and say hello, and just a great job as the Blurred girl. I know she wasn't alone, but she was a face that we knew, we recognized, and we just had to say thank you. And so we're definitely giving her a shout out. I know it was a team effort, so I definitely, all the people I mentioned earlier, they did a great job. It was.
And shout out to the volunteers, because there were several faces that I saw multiple times, like the lady who let us in. I don't know her name. I don't know who she is, but there's a lady that we initially saw who basically checked us in, gave us our stamps. She was there when we left, and we were there all day.
Right.
And we left early. Like, we left before the con was officially done. I think we left only about an hour or two before it ended, but I mean, she was there. I mean, surely she got breaks and stuff, but the fact that, not only did the organizers of WICOMICON do this, and they did this on their own time, on their own dime, and they were there the whole time, and it came together so beautifully. There were volunteers. They needed help. There were volunteers, like I said, people at every entryway, people, working the sound system. I don't know the details of how those people, or if those people were compensated, but I know that many of them were not. Most of them were probably not. So it just shout out to everybody involved with making this happen, because y'all did that.
You truly, truly did. And again, also from a first-time con goer, I was thoroughly impressed. It's something that I have said and will say publicly here, that I will go again if they decide to do it next year.
Yeah,
because
totally.
I really enjoyed myself. I felt comfortable, even though like I felt overwhelmed, but in a good way. Not like I got to get out of here, but I just felt like wow, look at all of this, like these people, these cosplayers, which we will get into in a second, because we have to talk about one in particular. But all the vendors, which you didn't make it past like almost the first table, because yeah, I did not make it. I made it to table number 2, and then I was like, all right, here's my money. What how do we do this? And I spent a good, 15, 20 minutes picking out dice to play Dungeons and Dragons. So, and it was great. I was having the time of my life, looking at every variable of dice imaginable, and it was amazing. And I knew that I was in trouble from that moment on. And I had
because I had not even gotten past the front entrance, and I was already like, all right, take my money. Oh, it's how much? Oh, cool, I got you. And so, but in hindsight, I just made sure and looked at like my little budget today, and I was in budget. I maybe went over $5. I'll take that.
Yeah,
that's not bad at all.
It's fine. I mean, it's technically a vacation, and it's just, a little bit.
All good.
So
we're good.
Yeah, you did good. You did good. I mean, you got quite a haul too. And I brought my bag that my brother-in-law and my sister gave me for, I think it was my birthday. It was my new Flash backpack, and this was the DCEU Flash, just because I know you had noticed the logo looked a little different. So either way, it's the Flash. It's still cool. So so glad I brought it, because you also needed to bring your shoes, and we needed a place to put all your comic books and things.
My whole stash.
Yeah. I mean,
you were a lifesaver. I would have been carrying my own stuff and probably losing stuff because I didn't have anything to put it in. So thanks for that. Thanks again.
See, I knew what I was doing. So bringing that. And I mean, when I talked to Steph a while ago, she had told me other things that one should bring with them in preparation, like water bottles or even hand wipes. So I even had that in my bag. And I also brought my... We
didn't use them.
No, we didn't. I don't think we probably... I mean,
you didn't. I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't even tell you that I had them. So I also had a little... it's really a pencil box, but it's the box that I carry around at work. That's in my work backpack. And it's got everything from, what am I trying to think of? Ibuprofen, a little bottle of lotion, toothpicks, just random things you'd never know you might need, but it's like, hey, I need a Band-Aid, and I got you. So yeah, I had that with me too. I guess all of this would have helped if I told you I had all these things, I guess.
It would have. I didn't think you had anything in there, honestly.
Oh, no, I had that. And then, yeah. And my charger.
Well, good to know. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. I had my charger, but I didn't have the battery pack. I actually forgot that, but I had the charger. So, yeah, I came prepared. I came ready.
Good.
But yeah, there were a lot of vendors, some that we talked to, some that we had met the day before. So that was cool. Mm-hmm. And
I have to give him some of my money too.
Mm-hmm. Panels. We went to, I think, I'll say, 1, 2, 3, 2.5, because there was one that I found you in, and then we kind of left. Wait, no, it's 3.5. I'm sorry, 3.5. Because they were in the TARDIS room. There was TARDIS North and TARDIS South, so that was nice that they called it TARDIS.
I know.
I don't know if the main room had a name other than just being the main room, which this is what we're talking about, where the sound issue wasn't all that great, because where we were sitting, there were comedians up, and we didn't know that that's what they were doing. And I think I talked about it on just a very recent podcast, how even though it was just a minor thing, like if you actually sat in front, like in the front rows, you probably could hear them. And
sure.
But where we were, it was just echoes.
If they decide to do it again, and I hope they do, and if they decide to, keep it at the same location, I think that is a very easy fix, whether they put up like temporary, like those fold up things, or if they just, add more speakers, or even, I don't know if the speakers were turned outwards or not, because I wasn't paying that much attention, but like just simple things. I think if they were going to have a panel there are things that they could do to just kind of seclude that, or not seclude it, but bounce the sound a little bit better. Because if sound is anything like light, which I believe it is, if you are able to cut it off and you're able to kind of contain it and control it a bit better, you can easily hold something there and make the quality of it very, very good. But again, that was a very minor thing compared to the fallout that we had been experiencing for the past week before WICOMICON happened. That was just a refreshing, the whole conference was just a refresher. It was just refreshing. I mean, that's the best way I really know how to describe it. It's very refreshing.
And for me personally, it was just a new experience that I really did enjoy. And I never so the panels, the one that I really liked the most, and maybe it's because of a little bit of favoritism, but was, and I should have wrote it down too, what the panel was called, because somebody asked me, but it's the one featuring Cheo Coker, April Rain, and Angelique Roche, or is it just Roche? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Roche. Okay. But they talked about diversity in the media. I think that may have been part of the title, but since April Rain said she was hosting it, she was like, we're going to talk about whatever I feel like talking about. So I'm like, I'm here. Let's do it. So with that said, they talked about Black Panther and Luke Cage and even Angelique's show, her podcast, Ladies of Marvel. I really don't remember. Voices of Marvel. There it is. Yes. And it was really informative. I had it was great. I just really enjoyed it. And then I got my hug with April. I talked to her twice though. But that was my mission. That was my goal, was to meet and hug April Rain. In fact, Nick Porter of Megashine, both of us, we had agreed, like, we're going to track you down and we're going to get our hug from Auntie April. And I don't know if he did. I know he said he met her. I don't know if he got his hug, but I got my hug. I got my selfie. It's one of the few times I did take a few pictures, because we both kind of talked. Right. We didn't take too many pictures. So there was that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only downfall of this whole trip, is I took very few pictures, and I'm a photographer, so
Are you though?
I have my days where I decide to be an actual photographer.
a few more people that we met was Clarkeisha Kent, who was just on the show as well. So she was really sweet and bubbly, just like she was on the show. It was great. And you recognize her first because, like, you know, that hair. I'm like, yep.
I was like, look at that hair. That's Clarkeisha. Let me go talk to her.
Mm-hmm. And she was awesome. And Valerie Complex, who I didn't even know that was her, and I had walked by her a few times already, but she looked like she was an incognito. And
she was. She was like, I'm too famous for all of this.
But she was also great. She was on the ArcLight panel, and I did meet Ed Williams as well. And what you don't know, Courtney, or the listeners, is at some point down the line, Ed Williams will be on this podcast. So,
woohoo! That's awesome.
So will Valerie Complex. So they'll be on here as well. Other people that didn't have a panel, but I did talk to, was Jermaine from Jermaine Designs. I did talk to him. And who else did I talk to? Oh, wait, no, we both talked to Greg. Is it Pack or is it Pac? Pac? Okay. Yeah. So we sat in on his panel. We sat behind April Rain. So it was like, I don't know why, but her shoes were just not distracting me, but they're very interesting to look at. I think they're just kind of red and they just stood out, but they were there. It's like a very vivid, surreal memory. It's like, wow, we're all here just enjoying this conversation because we were listening to basically a live episode of Southern Fried Asian. Heath Chow, I think his name is. Yes. So they had a really good conversation. So that was it was really good. Yeah. So yeah, that was ArcLight, their panel with just talking about all the comics that they come up with and how they come up with their stories and comics that they want to come down the line with. And it was really informative, and I'm like on board, and I want to go still pick some up to support. Yeah, they're very awesome ArcLight comics, and I'm very interested to see what they come up with, and you know, if I ever got the chance putting this out there in the universe to work with them or for them and create more awesomeness, you know, I wouldn't turn it down. I would not turn that one down. So yeah, but check them out. ArcLight Comics. Friend of the podcast, Stephanie Williams, is also a part of ArcLight. That's
which
exciting.
I didn't know, and it's very exciting, and I'm so happy for her. And she's doing some big things with them. So you know it's going to be awesome. Right.
Now, what I will say about Steph is that she told me she was writing a comic, but I didn't know it was with them. And I'm like, oh, so you're like big time now. I didn't tell her that part, right? But like, once all the dots were connected, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm so happy for him. I'm so excited. And I can't wait. That's what I'm waiting for that to kind of be, I guess, published. And that's when I want to have her and Valerie come on so they can talk about their work. So that's what I'm waiting for. But they've already said, we'll come on. So it's just waiting. So I'm pretty much Birdman in the window, just rubbing my hands waiting. So
I just saw that gift.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. See, it's great. I'm actually living some of these gifts these days. Just the blinking, the dude just walking away with the hat. Like, yeah, I don't know. After the Comic-Con. Wait, was there anything else with why Comic-Con you wanted to mention?
No. No, nothing. No, we're good.
Okay. Oh my God! I can't believe I almost forgot. We actually ran into Bucky. I don't care what you say. It was Bucky from
like actually Bucky, who was in the movies, y'all. Or the comic. It was him.
Like scruff and like long hair. I'm not sure.
His face,
it was.
His face was Bucky.
And we almost missed him entirely. We were leaving, and then he just was like running in, like, "I'm here to save the day," or whatever he was there to do. I don't know.
It doesn't matter what he was actually there to do, but we think he was there to save the day. So take that as you will.
He was with someone else, like either Scarlet Witch or Black Widow. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Well, not really, but it was Bucky. So
yeah, I don't know who she was. I mean, she looked great.
Yeah, she did.
we weren't sure who she was, but we kind of stopped at Bucky. So yeah.
And
sorry, lady.
There were some other great cosplayers there too. Just there, like 3 people from Fallout. I don't know the name of the character, but I believe 2 of them got together to take a picture, and then they met the third one who was like in full costume, like with a helmet. So you knew he had to be hot. But yeah, there's quite a good number of cosplayers, which by all means, like, that's what they're there for. That's what you do at a con. So yeah.
So like the Fallout player, he was hot or hot as in?
Oh, I mean, his
very
costume,
hot.
I'm pretty sure was, I want to say stifling, unless maybe he had a little tiny air conditioner in there. I don't know if they make those, but
he was probably hot too.
Yeah,
like hot, like looking good.
Oh,
sexy.
I don't know, or maybe it was a woman. then maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's probably a guy. After WICOMICON, we walked back and made it basically just in time before it started raining again, because that was a quick little walk. And then we watched a little bit more Legion, and we were just pooped, and we almost missed karaoke, but we made it for that.
Yeah, almost missed karaoke because I think they had been there for a couple hours, and we decided to show up at like, I don't know, 10:30, 11, something stupid.
We almost didn't make it out of the garage though because the power went out in our.
Yeah, the power just randomly, like in the whole hotel, I believe.
Yeah.
But the power went out, and thank God we weren't like walking, because I'm kind of weird about parking garages. But even, and nothing happened otherwise in the parking garage, so there's no reason to be weird about it. But I'm just very like uber conscious and like aware when I'm there. But fortunately, the lights did not go out until we were safely in the car and like 3 cars away from the gate to exit the garage. But it was just the weirdest, most random thing to happen.
It was. And even when we got back, the guy at the front desk was kind of acting like he didn't know what happened. And I'm like,
nothing happened.
Dude, like all our clocks are blinking, and that just happened just a few hours ago. And
right. How do you not know this?
Yeah, I had a fight with the ticket, my parking ticket. I had to get one, like a new one each day. And that's not how it was supposed to happen. But it
did happen each day, didn't it?
It did. You kind of kept going back to the room, so you had no idea this little fight.
I knew. Well, in hindsight, I did think about that. Like, dang, this has happened, because I knew it happened at least twice while I was around. But yeah, especially for that, like what you paid for parking every day.
Right.
Yeah, that's not okay.
That was the frustrating part, but I mean, I'll do it now since we're talking about the hotel. I want to give a huge shout out to Bryant and Gerald. They were awesome front desk people. Not Gerald. Bryant was the night manager, but oh my God, they were so awesome.
But they're probably the best. Like, I don't know what to call them. They're not receptionists, but
I almost wanted to call them concierge, maybe.
Nah, concierge. Well, sure. For lack of, I don't know if they're actually called that, but the best concierges that I've ever encountered, because not only were they super friendly, super helpful, super just knowledgeable. I mean, they seemed to be genuine about it. Yeah. They weren't put out that me, the customer, had questions or were there. They weren't, they were just very, very very good at their jobs. And even like the day that I left, because I left at like 4 a.m, one day, the day that I left, and like the security guard and the guy who was there, they weren't as good as Brian and Gerald, but they were still very good. They were talkative. They weren't too talkative because it was 4 a.m, but they were not unprofessional. They weren't, I think they were in a conversation when I came down, and then they just kind of like respectfully weren't in the how when people are on the job and a customer comes around and they continue, the workers continue their conversation as if you're not there, and it's just the most weird, awkward thing. Well, they didn't do that. They respectfully, paused the conversation because I was still around. I was waiting on my shuttle to come pick me up, and the security guard carried my bag out. I mean, just very like, and this is stuff that they're supposed to do, but they did it well, and they did it without fuss and without attitude, and it was just a really, really, really good experience. So, it was just good. It was just real good. And so also I find it of note that these were people of color, and like shout out to the people of color who did a fantastic job, and who just, to me, they were like the standard. They're the standard, and I hope that they made other people's days really good too, because I just, I've not had service like that in a while. So it was very nice, very refreshing.
Yeah, I was about to say, it was refreshing, and like it's a shame that it's like a surprise where this should be everywhere you go, like with every service, whether you're at a store, at a restaurant, or a hotel, you should. You should. This is the respect.
Expect that.
Yeah, you should expect the respect, the friendliness, and it makes the customer feel that much more like, happy, and like, hey, I'm having a good time. All right, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so, I agree. It doesn't cost anything to treat someone with respect and with kindness. It really doesn't. And I try, even in my, my day job, I try to remember that, and I try to talk with people like they matter, because they do. Even if I have to, in my line of work, I have the same kind of conversations like every day. And so it can be easy to fall into like the scripted thing where I sound like I'm reading something off the sheet, or where I'm just super bored because I've had this conversation with 10 other people this week or whatever. But, but to treat someone as an individual with an individual issue that I'm here to solve really makes a difference. And that's how these people, I feel, treated us. They check in tons of people all the time. I'm sure they encounter the same questions that I'm sure we had every time, but they did it with professionalism and with grace. And this is why we're sitting here bragging about them now.
Right. Because, it doesn't happen every day. Like
It doesn't. And it's much appreciated.
It is.
So yay. Thank you guys for being awesome. And I hope you hear this one day. That would be great if you knew that we approve.
I think what I'll do is I'll try to find a thank you card, and then I'll send it, and like somehow
that'd be good.
Include a link. It's like, oh yeah, listen around to this point. I mean, you can listen to the whole thing, but this is where we talk about you.
Yeah. So
that is great. So we'll move on from Bryant and Gerald and the Days in staff at. Trying to get the whole title. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the show notes. So yeah, we're going to karaoke. So karaoke was happening at the Mex Bar and Grill. That's what I'm going to call it, because I really don't remember. And I don't know. The only thing I didn't like about that was the getting in twice, like a double cover charge. It felt like. Yeah.
Like there was an area where multiple bar and grills were, open because it was Saturday night. So I get that. But like they really did, before you could even get into the area, they charged you a fee to even get in. And then whatever like pub or whatever restaurant or whatever you went to, most likely they charged you because ours did. So we had to pay twice. And the other folks said they didn't have to pay the first time to get into like the area. So most likely because we got there super late, that's why they were charging. I don't know that, but it kind of makes sense. So I didn't love that either, especially since we knew where we were going. We were meeting people there. We knew we weren't going to be hopping around to different bars or whatever. It just was a bit annoying. But we went there and we saw everybody, and it was. What do you think? What was it? Fun? Was it worth it? What do you think?
I would say it was lit. Now, I don't throw that word around a lot, but if I'm saying it, that I must mean it. So it was a lot of fun, and just watching people and it's the weird thing about it, or maybe it's still kind of surreal, is like these are people that we've known like on the internet, but we've just met them in real life like 2 days ago. But we're like, oh, these are my people. There they are, and now we get to see them cut up. So we get to see them in all these different circumstances, from either just breaking bread with them to maybe seeing them in cosplay. Now we're seeing watching them get up on stage, whether they're inebriated or not, but they're there. And it was just a lot of fun. Yeah. And anytime any of us got up on stage, we all kind of went to go support them and just, make sure they had fun too. So it was great.
And that's probably one of the most amazing things about this weekend is the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us, or a lot of us, came with people that we knew already, we're friends already. I came with you,
mm-hmm.
and even though we met through Twitter, we have a friendship outside of Twitter now. And several other people were like that. But no matter who you came with or who you bonded with outside of Twitter, your Twitter friends were there, and we were all there for the same purpose. And so the camaraderie was there instantly.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. I mean, it was crazy how instant everybody kind of clicked.
Right.
Even if it wasn't, super some people just click better than others naturally. But even if it wasn't a super deep friendship at the on the onset, it's oh, hey, you're here for WICOMICON. Cool. Come over here. Here's where we're sitting. And it was just an instant, you're in, you're sitting at our table. It was just very, very much the community aspect, which is what most of us went there for in the beginning.
Right. That was like a lot of our main goals. Yeah. Is to meet each other. And that still happened regardless of any con. We're glad that a con happened, but we were there for each other, and we definitely kind of grew together as a family. So we can't even really call each other Twitter friends now. That's how we met, but we were actually real friends in real life. And I think somebody even said that at the con that we were at, where how do they phrase it? Because it was phrased so perfectly, Twitter friends are real friends, I think.
Yeah. Well, I know I heard several times okay, these are my Twitter friends. If we were mixing company,
mm-hmm.
Someone said, these are my Twitter friends and these are my real life friends. And then somebody was like, wait a second, I thought we were real. And then whoever was talking originally was like, okay, well, now I can change it and I can say, well, you're my real life friends too. And I just love that. I loved it because that's exactly what it feels like. It's yeah, I met you on Twitter, but Twitter friend doesn't seem enough anymore. It doesn't seem because it being a Twitter friend is fine, but now that I've met you in real life and we've hung out in various situations and we're sharing all these experiences, it's more, a little bit more than that now.
Mm-hmm.
It's, we're offline now. We're in person. I can see your real personality come out. It's a bit different. It's a bit deeper now. So
it truly is.
We're real friends now.
Yes.
And I love that. I really do.
And I think I told you this, but the whole time, I want to say most of the time I was there, maybe except from Thursday night, I really didn't interact on Twitter that much because a lot of the people I would have talked to were right there in front of me. So,
yeah.
I mean,
unfortunately, not all of them, but a good portion of them were. Yeah.
Right. So it was still, I was just experiencing the real life, just real life Twitter feed, if you will, but just everyone there. There's no way I could scroll back or retweet or just laugh at what you just said, but you could actually see me laughing at what you said. So that just made the difference. And it was great. And all that to say that karaoke was just a lot of fun, and just that whole experience, and karaoke with celebrities at that, because the cast of Killjoys was at WICOMICON. They were there from the beginning. Either they're going to be at FanCon, but they said, no, we're still going to come. And they went to WICOMICON. They went to the karaoke afterwards, and they performed a whole bunch of songs. And I think they did one together before they left. So that was really awesome. That actually makes me want to watch the show. I started it a long time ago, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. But the fact that they came through makes me want to give it another shot.
Yeah, that's pretty dope of them. Shout out to them, because I don't know what it cost them or what it took for them to do what they did, but it's pretty cool that they still came through despite everything. That was just pretty cool. It
was. Now, Sunday was my final day, but it was still a day of fun, because we went to, it was actually a really low key kind of day. We went to the park, and we met with a couple more people. and just kind of wandered around kind of the park, which was a nice day weather-wise, and we kind of talked about a little earlier how it got kind of chilly and very windy. So we looked for some shelter in this this interesting spiral building. So we kind of hung out there for a little bit and took pictures of the cherry blossoms and other things in the park area that we were at, and some people were being slick and taking pictures of each other. And
without our knowledge or consent.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm talking to myself too because I did it, and yeah,
you did.
I wasn't the only one. But hey, you were taking pictures finally. So
finally,
yeah.
The last days is when I decided to chronicle the experience. But whatever.
Yeah. But that's what we're doing now.
Better than nothing.
It's on record. And the thing is, and going back to the con again, and we talked about this before, just how weird it is that we see ourselves in these pictures of, us at a con with other like sometimes famous people. I'm like, oh my God, I was there. Like,
yeah, crazy. I know.
Of us sitting behind April Rain in that the Greg Pak panel. So
is it? I haven't seen that picture.
Oh, it's I don't know who posted it. I don't think it was the Blurred Girl. I think it was one of the videographer. I think she did it.
Okay.
And shout out to her too, because she was working hard too.
She was working really hard because she was not only running video, taking pictures, but she was like running the mic around. Kudos. Shout out, man. Like, working y'all did hard.
That. We went to the comic book store after the park, so we kind of also settled in watching that, and actually just walking around other parts of Baltimore, more closer to the harbor area, which was nice. It was definitely relaxing and peaceful and nice. So, so yeah,
perfect end to a really, really good weekend.
It really was. And I kept teasing the benches. Not, I didn't, laugh at them, but there was like quotes on some of them saying like Baltimore is the greatest city, I think, in the country. And I'm like, is it? But it is pretty great. It's a good city. I like it. I don't like driving it all the time, but I like it.
Well, and we were in the downtown part. So, and, during some of the most busy times. So it is a bigger city, but I'm sure not all of Baltimore is like that.
Probably not.
But I don't know, because it is a major city.
It is.
But we, a lot of the times that we were moving about, it was either rush hour or a busy time during the weekend. So it could have just been us and our timing.
Right.
So who knows?
Right. And I did compare it because other people, I think we had talked about before about where we rate Baltimore in terms of driving and traffic. It is not as bad as New York City. Plus, it's cleaner than New York City. But for me, I think it's the third busiest metropolis area that I don't enjoy driving in. The second one being Boston, and then the first one being Manhattan. So
yeah,
had experience in all three. Actually, Washington D.C. wasn't too bad, so that's lower on the list. So I've driven in Washington D.C., but yeah,
no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I like city life, but I don't think I enjoy driving in it, and I no longer want to live in it. Like, I like staying there, like all that. But yeah. So before we go, so if you have not yet seen Infinity War, it's been a week. What are you doing with your life? Come on.
Probably living life.
I guess.
No judgment. No judgment.
But,
you have time. It's just a weekend. You're good.
Right. So if you have not seen it and you wish to see it, then this is probably the time where you should stop, or at least come back maybe, whenever, just to catch the ending. If we have any shout outs and you want to know if your name was shouted out, well, first of all, just pause, go watch the movie, then come back and you can, continue the fun. You can do that.
We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll wait. But for those who have, and that's most people that I know, we're going to talk a little bit about it. And, man, there was something I was going to say right at the top there. Yeah, there's some, they're more like the professional reviews, which I don't really always read anyway, but they're like, what's with this movie? There's no introductions to these characters, but this is a universe that's been building for 10 years.
A whole 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, where you been?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. So
did you really just try that? Because that's stupid. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah. This movie would have been so much longer if we did that, which, I'm actually okay with, because I enjoyed myself with this movie.
I'm not okay with that. Like we were at the movie clocked in at like 2 hours 40 minutes. That's long enough. I mean,
It is.
I love a good movie, especially for the price of tickets these days. But I mean, come on, not for that excuse. If you want to learn more about these characters and their backstories, you have comics that span back for decades. Okay, longer than the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which are the movies. They go back into the 60s and 70s. I mean, you have time. Like, you have resources. Go back and read the comics. Or, I don't know, you can just look at the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go to the Wikipedia pages, which is what we sometimes do, you and I, Sterling.
Yes, I
we'll
do
read
that.
the synopsis of a movie if we don't want to watch it or whatever the reason is.
Like
And
scary
we'll
movies.
check out,
Yep.
scary movies and weird ones.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other ways to do this. If you want a crash course to everything and don't want to sit through 10 years of movies, I get it. But don't use that flimsy excuse of not being in the know. Don't use that. We're looking straight through it. It doesn't work. We're gonna move on.
Right.
Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Another one I've heard, review-wise, is that they wish Thanos would have had his own movie or something like that. And then I saw this on Twitter, and somebody responded with, yeah, they did give him his own movie. It's called Avengers Infinity War.
Exactly.
I mean, we've been building up to this in just about every Marvel film.
Mm-hmm.
With the Infinity Stones, even with Bucky coming back. I mean, like, come on, man. This is not hard. This is not hard. It's been laid out for us.
It truly has, and it's interesting what people have to say against and for it. And I've been listening to everything, and even in the past week, more spoilers are starting to come out. So it's been safe. So people are kind of going in, and I mean, and it's perfectly good. People can love the movie and still criticize it for things that are flawed, which is good for people like me, because I don't always see the flaws. I'm just there, just, cramming popcorn in my mouth, like, yes, bring it on. And I was like, oh, got sad, and okay, go bring it on again. And and I'm not really looking, for the faults until I probably go back maybe like by the third or fourth time. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that is a little problematic. And such as a term which I've heard now in 2 podcasts is fridging. I've never actually heard of fridging, but I've seen it happen. I didn't know there was a term for it. And to explain,
fridging?
Yes, and I will explain, because I'm pretty sure there's listeners that don't know what that is. But that is basically when
or co-host
or co-host, but when a female character is used for the male's emotional, like, catalyst. I could be like I could be miswording it wrong, but basically how like when Gamora had to be sacrificed. That's probably not the best example. Well, it is an example. But in order for Thanos to feel something, like, she had to be killed. So it's more of like that whole women's pain, and that's the only way that a male character can grow or advance in the plot. And so that's kind of what fridging is. I'm probably explaining it very badly, and I'm so sorry to all my fellow, like, women that are smarter than me to explain these things.
That makes sense, because people of color are always are commonly used, and excuse me, let me back that up. Not just people of color, but people of color in pain or suffering or whatever, or the sacrificial lamb or what have you, are often used to advance the plot or to bring on the white savior or whatever. So I definitely understand that sentiment for a woman being sacrificed or put in a situation of extreme pain or death or whatever, just to advance the plot. I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And those are things that I don't really notice until, like, people bring it up.
Somebody points it out.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, well, that's made him upset, or that made him react. And I see how that is a trope now that I'm aware of it. So we're all learning, we're all growing. So,
we are.
So that am I still bothered by it? I can't say that I am, but because I'm just taking the movie as what it was given to me. So that's
sure. Well, one thing that April Rain said during her panel, because there was a Caucasian gentleman who was there with his wife, which I'm like, you're awesome for being here, because first of all, how did you even know this was happening? Because they were older, and it honestly didn't, in my opinion, didn't seem to fit the demographic of like a millennial or a person of color or a marginalized person. So I was like, kudos for you even being here. Like, you're amazing. Awesome. But during April and Angelique and Chael's panel, he asked a question. I forget what the question was, but he used the term Oriental. And so when he was talking, he said Oriental, and he said a couple of other like cringeworthy terms. And he was coming from a place of just maybe ignorance. He didn't mean any harm by it. I really don't believe he meant any harm by it.
Right.
But I believe the panelists answered his question. But April even said, she like answered his question, and then she was like, and just for the record, Oriental is a very degrading term. That's a place or a thing, not a person. Yada yada yada. And she kind of explained why that was not a correct term to describe a person from Asia,
right?
Or like the Asian countries. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then she's like, "Oh, no. This is not to get down at you. This is just we're." And she said, "We're all growing. We're all learning. And thank you for accepting this in love, which is the way I'm giving it to you, in love." And I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, if all of our interactions with people all over the world were like this.
Yes.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I'm sorry to derail, but when said that we're all growing and learning, like that triggered that memory. That was such a good moment, and such a great thing to witness in person. So often we see like people gaslighting each other, and we see people like clowning each other online because the screens are there and we can hide behind them, and we can say whatever we want because you're just blaming somebody who's not really a real person. But to see it happen in real life, and to see growth happen and real dialogue happen between people, and for it to go like that, it was just so good. It was just so good,
It was, and that's actually what I was thinking about when I was talking about what I was saying. I was thinking about that moment, and even the moment when he said it, like you could feel the air being sucked out of the room, because everyone knew, it was like, ooh, that is not the right word to say, but April was there to, correct him in love. And she wasn't rude. She wasn't combative. She was just like, also, by the way, and it almost seemed like she wasn't like, and she's very skilled in combating, like not combating, but correcting people. Yes.
Properly, not like in a confrontational type way, but she's very good at righting the wrong, but not jumping down your throat at the same time. And so the way she did it was even good, because she addressed his question, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we don't say that because of this, and this. This is what needs to be said in place of that." And because the guy still had the mic, or maybe he didn't have the mic, but you heard him clearly say, oh, I'm sorry. And he was sincere about it. He didn't realize that he was wrong. And she said, no, you're good. Just, this is what it is. We all still have learning and growing to do. Take it in love is, it was so beautiful. It really was.
And that moment,
and he was good. Like he was just, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Because they met after it was over, because I think it was either before I talked to her or right after. He was like, "I'm so sorry," and she was like, "It's fine, it's good. This is what we're here for." And that moment, it was just like, it just felt so good. So, and I think
I can't remember now. So much happened, but his wife did say something to me. Honestly, I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what we were talking about, but she was just very friendly, very approachable. And I mean, they were just good people there to enjoy the con for whatever reason they were there. Doesn't really matter, but they were there, and they were participating and, just having a good time like all of us. And and it was moments like that that really made me realize, okay, this is what we're here for. Yes, WICOMICON and even FanCon, in its most purest form, are here for inclusion and here for marginalized folk and to bring folks together. It's not just for women. It's not just for people of color. It's for everybody. But we're going to talk about these issues. So, get ready. And if you say something out of line, you're going to get corrected. But it's not about that. It's about learning and growing and experiencing together and inclusion. That's what it's about. And that's what happened. And so this panel, I thought, was just probably one of the most clear displays of that mission. You have 3 people of color, well, specifically 3 Black people as panelists, 2 Black women and a Black man, and they're having this amazing discussion that we're all into. And then you have these white folks who are out here who are also into the discussion, who are participating. And then, just the crowd looking around. I see, an Asian man who's got to be in his 60s or something, who's, he's super involved and focused and then looked like he was taking notes even. Wow. Black women all over, queer folk everywhere, folks in cat ears and cosplaying, and they're just kind of out there. And then there's folks who are just in street clothes too. I mean, I was like, okay, this is what we're here for. I'm here for this. I'm experiencing this, and I will support this as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. That was a great breakdown of what happened in that, however long that panel was, because I mean, I was good with it as long as it kept going.
It went by quick, didn't it?
Yeah,
it went by really quick.
It did. It did. It's like, there's no more questions. There's no more you guys want to talk about. Like, man, yeah, it was great. We're supposed to be talking about Infinity War. We went off, but I mean, it was a good tangent. We'll jump to the end, to the dusting away, because that seems to be my new favorite phrase or terminology when somebody might die. Or it's actually one of the greatest memes out right now, because I don't know how they're doing it, but somehow they're having people like in pictures that are just kind of literally dusting away. So I'm like, what app is this?
Probably a Photoshop effect or something.
I guess. I saw one that hurt my soul, though. I saw one from Remember Me, and they not Remember Me, I'm sorry, that's the name of the song. Coco. And they had the grandmother dusting away. I'm like, you guys are...
Oh, what? Oh, that's so wrong.
It is, but
so
it made me laugh, but it made me hurt inside, too. I'm like, I feel horrible for laughing. But yeah, that is...
You're a terrible person, I will say
laughing?
that. Yes.
Well...
It's way too soon for that.
Anyway, the last, because apparently there's a lot of different reactions in the theater. Our theater was silent, like in the last half an hour, even to like do the credits.
Yeah.
And it was just like a somewhat of shock and awe, like, what did we just see? And like people, I think even you maybe had questions, and already theories were starting to form as to like, what happens now? Like, where do we go from here? Like half the cast just dusted away, and
literally dusted away.
Yeah, and just that whole sequence. And I'll actually be going back to see it second time this weekend. You saw it a second time recently, so
I did.
Was your theater? Did they have a different experience than when we saw it?
Basically, it was the same. I will say the second time around, I was sitting behind a group of. I think they were all together because they left together, thank God. But there was a bunch of chillins, and they're adults, but the kids were like talking the entire time. The entire time. Now, maybe it was just me because I had already seen the movie, so I'm coming in this second viewing, and this is what I do. The first time, I'm just like experiencing it. I'm not really, I'm there to suspend all disbelief, right? I'm just there to experience the movie. I'm not, unless it's just a really bad movie, I'm not there to rip it apart. I'm not there to ask the questions. And so this happened with Infinity War. So the second time, the time where I was behind the loud people or the talkative people, I'm there to catch the things that I may have missed on the first viewing.
Right.
Because you know, when you watch a movie the first time, you're just there to watch it. I can't watch really objectively the first time because I'm just like willingly submersing myself. Yeah. So the second time around, I'm all about, okay, what did I miss the first time? Where are the holes? Where can I figure this out? Yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
So I was less like, the disbelief wasn't quite as suspended. I was more grounded in reality this time. So I was hearing these folks talk, and it was the kids, you know, it was the kids. They're just excited about it. They're talking about it. They whatever. So, I don't know. That was a bit of a thing because they were laughing at the most inappropriate times. Like when Gamora died, they were like kikiing about it. And I'm just like, are you a monster? You're a child, I know, but do you realize what you just witnessed? But they're children, so whatever. But
the worst kids ever, though. But just
no, they're the worst kids ever. Like it was a couple times where I was like, bro, how do you? Because it was towards the end of the movie, and I still heard them talking during the quiet parts, and I'm like, how in the world do you have so much to say during a 3-hour movie? What? And then their adults just, I don't know, weren't, listen. But other than that role, you know, people cheered when Thor finally showed up to the battle on Earth, or rather Wakanda. People cheered when Captain America showed up. They were very silent towards the end, where it's like, oh, they're like dusting away. That's not, oh wait, he's dusting away too. Oh my God. Like they're all, so yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, it was very silent. It was very like, okay, what did I just watch? Did we, who said it? Did we lose? Who said that? Peter Quill, I think. No, he dusted away too.
Yeah, he did.
Only Rocket survived. But somebody asked the question, did we lose? And the answer is yes. And everybody felt that in my theater. So yeah.
Definitely. When I go back this weekend, I will be taking notes on things I missed. Like I'll look for that question: who asked, did we lose? Which I feel like maybe it could have been like Rhodey or somebody. I have no idea, but I'll find out. And but yeah, we had silence in our theater like throughout the whole time. I've heard of reports where some people, I guess, I'm not sure if it's at the very, very end where we see the symbol for Captain Marvel, or if it was like when they showed the title, but there were people or theaters that just like screamed or just yelled and proclaimed, I guess maybe because they were upset that it ended that way, or I'm not sure, but they were a lot more livelier than you know, I guess our classy bougie theater that we were in. But I get that's why I was asking, because I know there's differences, I guess, depending what theater you go to and how your crowd reacts. Some people are openly sobbing. Some reports I've heard. I mean, because it is pretty like sad, especially. I mean, Spider-Man, Peter Parker,
you see your faves like literally blowing away, and they're not there. And I mean, this is what Thanos has been threatening for a long time. And, you know, especially it's like, it's really heightened during this movie. And so just to see it happen, I went in knowing that this would happen because I'm not super familiar with the comics, but I know people who are. And so I've been listening to what they've said, and I've been prepared in that way. But even then, to see it happen, it was like, ooh, this doesn't feel. I don't like this.
Right.
This doesn't feel really good. And so I can only imagine what people who are not familiar with the storylines, when they go in and they see it happen to their favorites or to people who they've grown up with, or whatever, you know, sort of emotions they have towards these characters, to see it happen. I get it. I totally get it.
Like I'm one that did read like Infinity Gauntlet, and I knew this would be coming. I just didn't know it was going to happen in this movie. And then when it started happening, like, oh no, and then I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. Like I thought I was. Like but it's like not like this. Like the Matrix. Like not like this. Not like this. And then all of a sudden you dust away. So yeah, it was rough. But Now we have to wait until Avengers 4, because we don't know what the subtitle is yet, and that is something that will probably give it away. And next up is Ant-Man and Wasp, which I'm hearing different things about. Like, it could throw some more puzzle pieces our way to what we can expect next year. But really what we're looking forward to is Captain Marvel, because that movie's probably going to bring us right into what is going to happen next for our heroes we've been with for, by that time, 11 years. So
I know. Yeah, I don't expect much out of Ant-Man or the Wasp in terms of advancing this storyline ahead. But I don't expect much out of Ant-Man either. So that's a kind of a biased opinion. So
which to date you still haven't seen, right? You still haven't seen that one?
I haven't seen it. I'm holding out. I mean, I guess I have to see it because I kind of want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp because it kind of looks good. And I hate saying that, but
I'm saying give it a shot.
Whatever.
It is fun. For me, it was a fun movie. It was a heist movie, so that's also what was fun for me, because it had to go steal stuff. So, but I mean, I'm willing to accept your dislike for it. I mean, I've done it before with other things I recommended, and you're like, no, this is not good. So I'm like, okay, well, can't win them all. But so I'm already ready to accept that I got this one wrong. But at least you would have seen it. I mean, there are people that feel that way about Doctor Strange, but we both liked Doctor Strange. I know he was seeming like a clone of sorts of Iron Man, but I mean, I liked all the magic. I liked the colors. It was a fun ride of a movie. So I enjoyed it. And I really liked him in this movie. And when he just split up into a whole bunch of Doctor Stranges and
yes. Oh my God. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was moments.
So good.
So many amazing moments. Peter Dinklage showing up as a huge person. And of course Thor, like fully accessing his god powers, and
it was awesome.
It was. I mean, I'm ready to go back just to watch those scenes and all of it, and even the dusting.
It's better the second time. It really is, because you get to like watch it this time. You're not in utter shock, you know.
And I mean, the Russo brothers, I really have to give them kudos for being able to juggle so many characters and so many stories and still have it make sense, because that was a lot of people in that movie. So
yeah,
a lot going
on.
A
lot was going on. Like, so much was going on. There were a gajillion storylines. I mean, I don't even know. I haven't counted them, but it was like a gajillion. And there were so many characters. So I get it. If this is your first experience with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, like we like to call it, I totally get it. It's a lot. I wouldn't suggest this being your first introduction to the MCU because it's a lot. But if you want to be that person, you know what? Live your best life.
Pretty much.
But just know that either way you approach this movie, it's a lot going on. It's easy to follow, in my opinion, but it is a lot going on, and so there's a lot to process. And if you're not ready for it, you may not enjoy this. I loved it. I was able to follow along pretty easily. I saw both films at really late hours of the night, which is not my normal MO, because I just don't do that, because I will fall asleep on them. But I was still able to follow along really easily and enjoy the movie in its entirety. So, you know, give it a shot. Go for it.
Yeah, and for a long movie, it does move pretty quickly. Like because a lot happens.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. I agree with that.
So for those people who have not seen any of the Marvel movies, there are lists available out there. I don't know what they are. Like there's movies that like prerequisite movies that you should watch before you see this. I don't know what those are. I think there's like 5 of them that you must see. Or you could also get the comic I mentioned earlier, the Infinity Gauntlet, which is basically the same story and basically the same thing. That also doesn't introduce you to the characters. They're just here. So you should know who these characters are, and you can do further research if you want from there, but at least you can go at your own pace. But I do recommend that as some supplemental reading before or after. It is a little bit like I want to say a little bit more graphic, kind of. Like there's no blood and guts or anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like, oh, wow. Because the X-Men are involved, and then some of them don't make it, or they are, I can't think of the word. There's things that happen to some of the X-Men that happen in, like to the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, like they're diced up or thrown apart like spaghetti, and it looks painful. People
I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, but hey, it's good, and maybe that could be somewhat of a precursor to what we might see in the MCU. So that's why I'm also recommending it. And that's, don't look for Adam Warlock. Apparently, he's not going to show up for another like 2 years. So there's that. And if you don't know who that is,
really?
Yeah. And for those that don't know who he is, don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll find out. There is a hint in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So.
Okay, whoa, because I still haven't seen that.
I thought you saw that one.
And
you didn't like it that
no,
much.
I haven't. I didn't. I saw the beginning of it, and I like either fell asleep on it or just walked away from it because I was over it. Yeah, so I never actually saw it.
God, well, we'll have to rectify that one because I mean it's a
no. I was supposed to watch it on during the days like my vacation days after WICOMICON, and it just didn't happen because I was like, nah, Guardians, no thanks.
I mean, because you liked the first one. Didn't you?
Sorry, I love the first one, but the second one was just not the same. It was different, and I felt like it was a little bit forced. I just didn't like it as much. That's the one where Mantis was introduced, right?
Yeah.
Because I like her, but I have no idea how it ended. Wait, whoa. That's the one where Peter Quill meets his dad and like has to kill his dad or something?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe I did finish it. But I don't remember no Adam Warlock, so whatever.
Well, did you watch the credits?
I'll have to go back and just...
Because there's like 5 credit scenes.
That's what I think I didn't see. Like, I don't know. Because I remember, now that I'm talking about it, I remember the story, but I don't remember the end credit scene. So maybe I can just skip to that, hopefully. Yeah? I don't want to watch this movie.
Fine, I'll allow it. I'm pretty sure they might be like on YouTube, but like, I mean, you're lucky that I didn't know that because I would have brought it with me because I'm like, you know what, I'm owning this one. Because actually,
it's on Netflix. We could have watched it.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm glad you did because I would have been like, nah, I'm not watching this movie.
Well, it was between that or some other movie, which I'm not going to put you on blast for, but that's still on the list.
What other movie? Oh no, don't say that.
See, okay. I'm about to say I don't want to say it.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it. And you actually said it out loud too with during brunch. I'm like, would you quiet down? They
didn't hear me. They were
they
on their second mimosas. It's okay.
You were safe. All right. Well, that was our roundabout way of reviewing Infinity War.
Go see it. It's awesome.
It truly is. I mean, more than likely, we're probably going to talk about it again, and I'll even mention it here that we will be doing another live episode like we did for episode 50. I have special guests, and I think something regarding this movie might come up. I'm actually going to discuss it with Courtney off the microphone, so that way we can kind of plan and plot accordingly. So my idea doesn't sound too crazy. And for those people, because I know it's been debated. This is back to Infinity War and Thanos. Don't forget, he's called the Mad Titan, so that means he's insane. So he's insane. So stop trying to rationalize.
Okay. No, but I was about to rationalize because I get it. Like, I get where he's coming from. I don't agree with his methods. I think his logic is a bit flawed, but I get it.
Oh, I mean, I understand, but he's crazy. So
no, he's crazy. And I think that's what makes him a great villain because he totally believes in his cause and in his methods, and he makes you think, maybe he has a point. and and that's probably not a good thing, but it helps that he's a fictional purple character. So, but it, I get it. I get where he's coming from. I wish that he would have chosen a different path, but I appreciate the fact that he is gung ho. He is all in. He fully believes in his cause to the very end. He's a great villain. Good job, MCU. and Marvel for getting it right with a villain.
Yeah, because as people should know by now, I am a fan of villains and good ones, and especially ones that will do the dirty work themselves and kill whoever they need to kill.
Absolutely.
That's necessary.
And he's that one.
Yeah, he's
that guy.
He is. So he is up there. That may or may not be a hint as to what will be discussed on episode 75, but because I mean, we talked about villains in episode 50, like our top villains, and it's it's possible we could revisit that list, see if it changed, because
we should probably revisit that list.
I mean, I guess
been
we
a few new movies.
There has, and I mean, some of them are actually sitting on my table, or they're about to, because Black Panther hasn't come out yet. That's coming out next week, I think, and I have Thor Ragnarok, so Hela is Hela. Yeah, Hela's on the list because, my goodness, no one can rock.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, look at her helmet. Oh,
I really want her to still be alive.
Not a helmet.
Yeah, her headpiece.
I think it's possible. Nobody's ever really dead in the Marvel universe, so cinematic or comics, it's possible.
I don't know about Loki or Heimel. Highland. What is? Oh man, I'm messing up everybody's name now.
I don't know. Idris. The guy, whoever Idris plays, that's what his name is. Yeah, I think they're out of there. Gamora, I think
she's still alive because I think she's in the Soul Stone. I think she's in the Soul Stone.
I think she's in the Soul Stone, but she, like, her physical body is out of there. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but I think her physical body is like DED dead. So, and yeah, Loki and Idris are completely gone, which is very sad. I mean, they're both such good characters, but I get it. Somebody got to go. Somebody got to go.
And the Collector, I think he's gone too. I know it's kind of random and he's like a bit character, but I mean that's.
But how is he gone? When did he get got?
And we didn't actually see his body, but we don't know if he actually is dead. But he did live in nowhere, and that place was decimated.
True.
So
that's true. Plus Thanos was there, and the Collector that we saw was in was affected by the reality. Right.
Yeah,
so that wasn't really him. And if Thanos got the reality stone, he was willing to do whatever to get it. So I don't know about the Collector. He is very dispensable though. So I don't think he made it.
Yeah, I mean, just because you have a name doesn't mean that you're a star, like you're a A-lister, doesn't mean that you're going to survive in this universe.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, yeah, again, that was Infinity War. So do see it again, because we definitely will. And we'll probably be discussing it again.
Yes.
Once again, before we go, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, because it's so awesome that they decided to do this, but myfluffypuffs.com for afros and curls, and inclusive brand for natural and relaxed hair. Curl and twist, moisturize, wash, definition, twist, frosting for any texture. I'll actually write like a more fuller copy. I'm actually waiting until I actually try the product for myself, which I will take a picture, because that's what they ask you to do if you get their products. And they have multiple products, so not just the twist frosting, which is like a nice gooey and it smells good and all that good stuff, with biotin, which my sister told me is good stuff. So I'm excited to try it out. They do have soap, which is not just for your hair but also for your skin. So that's also on there. Definitely go check out their website, myfluffypuffs.com, and they sponsor the Indube Network. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Do you have any shout outs or anything you want to say to the kind people before we go?
You can catch me on Twitter at IMKHinton, where I tweet up a storm about everything, including things we just talked about and other topics. You can catch me also at vervehousecollective.com. And the Twitter handle for Verve is at VerveHC, where it's just a place for audacious, creative entrepreneurs and intention seekers. And you can find your tribe there, either on Twitter or the website. Either way, hit me up.
Awesome. I usually like to say I will do that, but I normally usually do. So yeah, you can follow me on all things Indoob, or at Indoob rather, and go to Indoob.com to find the Patreon to subscribe for more perks, including some bonus stuff, like a bonus review for Infinity War I did with my parents, and a little review that you and I did in Baltimore about Cine Bistro at the Rotunda. So you'll find that eventually. I still didn't put up a Quiet Place review, but that will be up there soon. You can also go to my TeePublic store, where all weekend in Baltimore I wore a shirt that you can buy at the TeePublic store at the Indoob shop. And the one that you'll probably see me that I show up in pictures is the one with the colorful microphone. I designed that one myself. So it's one of my favorites.
I like it. Very nice. Yeah, great.
Soon, I'll announce this. Soon, I'll actually have a whole set. There'll be some other things that are in the same style. So keep a lookout. Just a little tease.
Nice.
Where did I leave off? Yeah, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more can be found there. Please rate, comment, and share the pod on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you so much for supporting, listening, stopping by, and pressing play. Tell someone you value that you value them, and live for the folks you love. Truly do mean that. So make sure, again, if you follow me on Twitter, see my pinned tweet, do that challenge, please. So
yes,
I
agree. I concur.
Thank you. And Courtney, I value you. Just want you to know.
I value you too. You're awesome. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. I've been your benevolent host, T. Sterling Watson. And remember, if the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off or get dusted. No.
It's too soon for that. Oh my God. How dare you? God.
Too soon, I know.
It's too soon for that.
I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready.
Stop it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
The Indoob Podcast is recorded in a studio somewhere on planet Earth. The Indoob Podcast is part of the Indoob Network, and if you'd like to get in contact with the Indoob Podcast, please email indoobpod@gmail.com. That is indoobpod@gmail.com. You can find the Indoob Podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course Podbean, or wherever podcasts may be procured. If you'd like to find out more information, please visit indoob.com, where you can find our store, the blog, and of course our Patreon, if you'd like to support and donate and find more perks and fun things to listen to and watch. For Chief, DJ Joe Daddy, Bilford, this is T. Sterling Watson signing off. Thank you so much for listening. Use your words, Chief. Good boy. This has been another 3SFX production.